Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It has been a long time since I've done any filming. Actually, it's been since October of 2023, and now it is March of 2025. So a little over about a year and a half, give or take. I basically decided to take some time off to work on getting more fit, getting healthier, working on both my diet and my exercise and my mind. And I think it's about time to start filming a little bit more. I went from being a pretty out of shape and overweight guy, not huge, but definitely quite a bit out of shape and overweight in my mid-30s, to being in pretty good shape. I'm really happy with the results I've gotten, and I think it's time to start getting back to it. I really have seen some pretty good rise in subscribers, so that tells me that the videos I was putting out were pretty good, and they're going to be a lot better moving forward. There's also been a ton of changes to the van. I have a screen right here, which is both my TV screen and for my computer. Right now I have my MacBook down here so that I can go over this website with you. This video is going to actually be about the last video, but more information rather than me just making random guesses on everything. I did do a lot of guessing, and I did a little bit of research, but I found this great website that details a lot of the stuff that I didn't detail, with some images that came before I ever made it out there. And actually, according to somebody who made a comment on one of my Instagram posts, all this stuff is actually gone now. The government finally got around to removing all of these old buildings and stuff, and so sadly you can't really visit it anymore. But what's cool about that is it makes my video actually like kind of a document, something that saves it so people can actually see what was there. It preserves the history better, and I think that's actually exciting for me. I do like the idea that they cleaned it up, but it's also sad that you can't go visit it. I can't go visit it anymore. So that's kind of a disappointment, but I'd much rather the government clean up their messes rather than just leave it out in the desert to rot and to pollute the environment and stuff. So it's a win-win, win-lose situation, but it is what it is. So let's get into it and start talking about this website. So this is coldwartourist.com. This gentleman, who doesn't actually share his name, we can go to the About Us section. This gentleman here, he looks like a nice guy, does some exploring. He says he's just a guy that likes to travel out of way places and explore ruins and relics of the Cold War. So this is all his stuff. So if you could do me a huge favor and go and check out coldwartourist.com. I'll link it below and in the pinned comment, of course, so that you can find it easily. But give this guy some web traffic, because he did some good work, took some great pictures, and I'm just piggybacking off of his work. And so I want to make sure and give him the credit under fair use to make sure that he gets some more traffic. So if you're into Cold War stuff, he has a bunch of websites, or a bunch of different sites that he's visited and done a really good job of documenting them as well. So go check those out. But we're just going to stick to the Utah Launch Complex, where I visited and filmed 2 Octobers ago. So it starts out, you see it's got this great picture here of one of the launch areas with an assembly building here. I don't actually think that's the one I drove through, but I could be wrong. I think this is the middle Site 2 one. So this is actually the first place that this gentleman went to. He was planning a trip to the San Rafael Swell, which is near Moab, and he saw this area labeled Utah Launch Complex White Sands Missile Range. He had the same thought I did, thinking White Sands is in New Mexico near White Sands National Park, but it's actually a detached section. So he went and explored it during that trip. So this is a really good image of the whole place. You can see the bunkhouse. You can see the kind of warehouse that I went into. You can see some of the runs for the wiring, and then you can see the assembly building that I drove through. I actually think I see the other, nope, that's just the front. But yeah, there's the assembly building I drove through. There's that warehouse I went down to. That's the bunkhouse I went to first in the video. So I apologize if I'm looking down. I know you're still there, but I'm going to be looking down to kind of cover some of this stuff. By now I'm probably small down in the screen. So we found a totally abandoned, just like I did, launch pads, assembly buildings, service buildings, cable raceways. That's a better name than I called it. But yeah, raceway for the cables. And then the concrete bunkhouse, which I think I called the bunker. The perimeter fenced, same as I found it, and wide open. I didn't see any of these U.S. Army restricted warning signs, but I would have definitely considered stealing it, but somebody else probably got there first and I didn't steal it, so just a thought. I would have been very tempted, but it's not like I really have anywhere to put it in the van. I think that if I got pulled over and found that in there, I'd probably get in a little bit of trouble. But according to the sign, the range has been declared a restricted area by authority of the Commanding General, in accordance with the provisions of the directive issued by the Secretary of Defense 20 August 1954, pursuant to the provisions of Section 21, Internal Security Act of 1950. Unauthorized entry is prohibited. All persons, vehicles entering herein are liable to search, photographing, making notes, drawing maps, or graphical representations of the area or its activities. It doesn't really say. Oh, is prohibited unless specifically authorized by the Commanding General. Any such material found in possession shall be confiscated. So they could confiscate my videos and tell me to take it down if they care. This is a more zoomed in picture of the bunkhouse, and there's that kind of warehouse type building. You can see the perimeter fence that was wide open when I found it, and him as well. So according to our gentleman, Cold War tourist, the Utah Launch Complex is a sub-installation of White Sands Missile Range located on the south side of I-70 near Green River. It's about 15 minutes away, give or take. The base is abandoned, but was the site of numerous Athena rocket and Pershing missile launches during the final impact of WSMR White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico, over 400 miles to the south. So they were launching these missiles towards White Sands 400 miles away. I think I said 500 miles, but it's a pretty long launch. Sorry about the wind back here. It's kind of a windy day and I need the air to get in. Hopefully you can't hear my fan in the background, but it's absolutely necessary so I don't overheat. Currently I'm in the desert of New Mexico, in the desert of Arizona. This is where I like to winter. It stays somewhat mild, doesn't get too cold, so I stay here. I've been here for almost 5 months now, just waiting for spring to come so that I can start heading north and getting back into the mountains and the forest in the western United States. Back to it, this facility is significant because it was one of the few examples of long-term interstate missile testing within the continental U.S. Other than being co-located, the Athena and Pershing test programs had separate and distinct purposes and were completely unrelated to each other. So I think this is the Athena missiles, the ones that were launched. So you can see this image. This is a historical image. These are the 3 different launch facilities. That's the building that I drove through and then went up this road here. The missiles were attached underneath the gantry here, and then they were attached at that base plate that I thought was a base, and then lowered down, and then the building slid over them, and then when they went to launch they'd move the building off and then launch the missiles like that. So you can see the 3 different gantries with missiles attached to them currently in this image. And then that, what I thought was actually the gantry was actually a radio tower. That was all disassembled into the, I'm guessing that's red and that's white, red, white. And that was disassembled and then stacked right there, and this building was gone. And this building was also gone when I visited. This is the only remaining assembly building. So you can see there's actually a lot more tracks. None of these tracks were really obvious or present. You can still see the cable raceways. Those are still there, or were still there. I don't know if they're still there now. Sadly, this place has been disassembled, so it'll be a lot less if you go visit it yourself. But probably a lot safer and potentially less toxic. It's hard to know what kind of materials were there, but these are the Athena rockets, and then I think these are the Pershing rockets. This is from Green River. The city of Green River had these. So I think the Pershing rockets were launched off of these. It looks like a trailer to me. Can't move my mouse over it without it. Yep, Pershing 1A launch. And then there's a couple other ones getting ready to launch there too. Man, it would have been cool to live in Green River, around Green River at this time to see these launches. I think I did my math wrong during the last video. I think they were actually doing them more often, probably every week or so. There's actually more launches than I thought initially. I only did the math on the Athena ones, but they had the Pershing ones in the same area, co-located in the same area. The Athena, it was part of the Air Force's Advanced Ballistic Re-Entry Systems Program, ABRES, which sought to test the performance of various technologies related to ICBM development. Specifically, hundreds of Athena rockets were launched with the test packages designed to test the following: penetrating aids, including chaff and warhead decoys to confuse enemy tracking; re-entry radar signatures; survivability of heat shields, materials, and nose cone designs; warhead arming and fusing. Athena was a 50-foot long 4-stage rocket with 2-stage firing upward until the target reached the apogee, which is kind of the top, followed by 2 stages pushing downward to direct impact. The Athena program was cost effective in that it used reduced scale models of ICBM payloads during flight testing. Test results were incorporated into the ongoing design and improvements of ICBMs, such as the Minuteman, as well as sea-launched ballistic missiles, including Polaris. We're already a generation beyond those, and we're working currently on upgrading our ballistic missiles to meet current requirements. The ones we have, the maintenance on them is going to cost more than it is to replace them. At least that's my understanding based on some of the videos I've watched on YouTube. I learn a lot from YouTube these days. If I had it as a kid, I would have been completely addicted. So the launch area is located just out of town, like we covered before. It consists of the blockhouse, which was kind of the bunker, and 3 launch pads with service enclosures. When Cold War tourists went there, it was a few years before me, so his pictures actually include more details and more stuff than mine do, because it looks like it's been an ongoing cleanup process for quite a while. It sounds like within 2024 they bulldozed and took out a lot more stuff. So this is the inside of the bunker, which is the blockhouse, which is much better put together than it was when I went. This whole bank here was gone when I went. You can see that the floated ceiling was still kind of there. Broken glass everywhere, but this definitely wasn't there when I was there this last time, and I never saw it in the 2 visits I made to this site. And then this looks very much like they're inside the blockhouse. Yeah, you can see the same things. The light's still there. Looks like they never had too much of a floating ceiling. You can see looks like a general. Yeah, he's got looks like 2 stars there. And then this looks like his aide. He's got a certain device there, and then his rank there. These look like some civilians. But here's all the dials and controls and the phones. Very 1950s, 60s looking picture. Each launch pad was equipped with a temperature-controlled environmental enclosure, TCEE, which protected the Athena and its sensitive components from the effects of temperature and adverse weather conditions. These enclosures moved on steel tracks and would slide out prior to the launch. So here's a modern-day image. This is the one that I drove through, I believe, based on the angles from outside the fence enclosure. Still in place. There's the crooked door. And then there's the gantry mount point that held it down. Here's a period picture. There's an Athena rocket. Looks like they're either in process of bringing it in or out. You can see the snow, which is the negative weather that would have impacted it. There's snow everywhere. So this is the Moab area, absolutely completely covered in snow, which happens, but not very often. It happens maybe a few times a year, but it melts off really quick. So that's pretty cool to see, kind of as it is. You can see there's some lighting there, the same ladder that I considered climbing but chose against because it'd be pretty risky to do. Period inside. Looks as ratted out as it was when I was in there. You can see the temperature control units, AC units probably, or heater units right there all the way along here. So it's probably pretty nice in there compared to what the outside was. It's hot in the desert, so you're seeing 100-degree temperatures during the summer and then 40s below freezing during the winter. At least that's been my experience in Moab. And then here's a period picture. Here's the Athena rocket hanging underneath. Nice old telephone. Looks like a dial-style telephone. I'm just old enough to have used those a few times before they completely disappeared in favor of the digital ones with the wireless headset or wireless set. My grandparents still had some wired dial ones around the house. Here's an image. There's the bunkhouse door open, not bunkhouse, the assembly building door open, and here's the mount with all the bolts still in place. So this is actually off-site from what I saw. I think I know where these buildings were or are. They're kind of on the way there. I should have checked them out too, but I just didn't think that I could or should, or I was kind of lazy. But cantonment area and magazines, I'm not familiar with that word, so I don't know what it means exactly. Let's look it up because we have the interwebs. Okay, a group of temporary billets for troops. So this is where they were putting the peeps. The troops. Base support was provided in the cantonment area, which is located much closer to town, which included offices, a mess hall, a small fire department, and guard shack, and other structures for supply, transportation, and engineering. This is that area. These look basically brand new. It looks like they were used pretty recently. They have their own radio tower and air conditioning. There's the guardhouse. Actually, I'm not sure where this was. It might have already been completely disassembled. I kind of think I recognize that building there. Here's some more Green River images, and here's the fire department. Oh, there's the guard shack, so that's the same building. So this period picture has the guard hanging out there. It looks like everything was set up and staged with him standing there commanding the area and the fire truck outside, but the buildings look practically the same. Let's go back. Let's see. So I don't think we're seeing this. Oh, there it is. So yeah, no, there's two sets of doors. Hold on. Oh yeah, you can see the corner. There we go. So that's the corner of the firehouse. So the picture was quite a ways back. And since you can't see that space, I'm guessing I used a zoom lens of sorts. So the Athena rockets, so this is the building I'm thinking of. The Athena rocket motors were kept in an explosive magazine roughly 2 miles east of the cantonment area. The magazines were basically steel frames, metal-clad buildings equipped with explosion-proof lighting and overhead cranes. And explosion-proof lighting just means that the lighting was self-contained, so that when you flipped on the switch, the heat element and any spark that might go on in there was contained within the unit. We have those on the ship as well. When I was in the Navy, we had those on the ship as well, so that if there happens to be any explosive fumes in the building or in the space, when the spark kicks off, it doesn't start a fire or an explosion. That's something to be aware of too if you have some sort of old school incandescent bulb, or if you don't have, I think waterproof lights are probably going to be fine because they're all sealed up. But if you go into a space and it smells like gasoline, don't flip on the lights. So there's the building as it is, or was when he visited. And this looks like Cold War tourist visits as well. There's a big overhead crane and insulation and all that stuff. This would be the magazine. And here's the exterior. Can't click on that. Current to when he visited. This is a completely different area that I don't know where it's at. So here's the assembly area. The Atlantic Research Corporation was responsible for the Athena rocket and payload assembly, and they occupied a former Union Carbide facility previously used for mining uranium. That's another interesting part about this site, is across the highway really close to Green River, there's actually a buried site where they buried uranium waste. I think it was part of the mining operations in the area. I actually visited a mining area where they mined it that's a ways to the south of Grand Junction. I ran into it when I was on my way south to watch the annular eclipse that happened later on in 2023. Well, I thought I should probably stop here. Check this out. This is where Uravan. So I thought I'd stop here and check this out. I'm at Uravan, or in Uravan, can't really tell, but Uravan, originally the site of the Joe Jr. Mill, a company town of Uravan, was established in 1936 when U.S. Vanadium Corporations moved its plant here. At one time, over 800 people lived along the tree-lined streets, enjoying housing, schools, medical facilities, tennis courts, recreation center, and a pool provided by the company. Between 1936 and its closure in 1984, it says 1884, due to falling uranium prices, the plant milled 42 million pounds of uranium and 220 million pounds of vanadium. Since 1983, the Minerals Corporation has been involved in a 15-year, $70 million reclamation project. Tailings above the mill have been stabilized and covered, while processed waste from the pools and ponds have been evaporated. The short version is, this is where they were mining uranium for nuclear bombs and perhaps nuclear power. If you look at the Google Maps satellite imagery, it is very obvious that this area behind me here was actually flattened and graded to clean it up. And if you look up on top using Google Earth, or actually even from here, I think you can see it, that top there is a cover for all the waste materials. Now that map is toast. Oh, I don't want to touch that. It's fiberglass. The magic metal. Oh, look at that. Just gone right underneath. It's crazy to think there's uranium here. Still. Yeah, it's crazy. Completely gone. Thankfully they went through and did their best to clean it up. A lot of this stuff, mining and all that, it's almost impossible to just clean it up. All they do is just cover it up. You can see the power lines going up and over. Anyways, I thought that'd be cool to show you. As far as I understand, this area is where the uranium that they used to drop the bombs on Japan was mined and perhaps processed. A lot of times it's not necessarily the mining that's destructive, it's the processing, because there's tailings and leavings and all that stuff that gets left behind and is rather potent and bad. So let's get on to the next spot and we'll see you down the road. This is the carbide facility. Like stats are conductive shoes required in this area. I don't have much to say about that. That's just a door with warnings. Possibly that door. Quite the building though. It's got the wiring going in there. I love organization like that. It's just satisfying to look at. It's pretty big buildings though. Looks like they're either made out of brick or cinder block with kind of a metal warehouse on top with all kinds of doors. These pictures almost look period, but they're not, just because everything's kind of degrading. Looks like cinder blocks. Be a good place to do paintball or laser tag. But there's asbestos in there. Here's our ARC facility. I don't know if the recording covered that, but here's the ARC facility overview, aerial view from the period. So Rod Hill on the north side of Interstate 70, on top of a ridge overlooking too much water. Most of the range facilities is the Range Operations Directorate. The buildings in this area housed radar communications equipment used to track Athena post-launch. 2 FPS-16 radars ensured that Athena was staying within its planned flight path. If an unsafe deviation occurred, a destruct command could be sent that would destroy the rocket in flight and terminate the mission, dropping the rocket on whoever happened to be below it at the time. We're going to assume that the range didn't go over any major populated areas. There really isn't any from my memory even right now. I'm sure there was even fewer people right now. Let's see, what were they called? FPS. So here's the FPS-16 radars. I'm guessing those are pretty good. They probably got some triangulation by using 2 of them, and they were probably pretty good at tracking like small targets once you knew where it was. But they're not going to be like an air search radar, which just scans the whole area above a certain altitude. This is a great shot though. You can see the radars. Green River, I believe, is right there. So these, I wonder where this is at geographically. Pretty cool though. But look at that, the size of that ridgeline. You just get the idea of just how big stuff is out there. If you haven't been to Moab, you definitely should go. It's a huge, just impressive area of desert. It was one of the first major desert areas that I visited when I first started in the van. It was kind of in the day when I was really nervous about being out here. So I'd go out for 2 or 3 weeks and then run back home, at least to where I knew people. But yeah, that's a great image. This looks like, oh, here's the radar buildings. Wow, I wonder if those are still there. Maybe I'll have to go back. They have the radar pedestal. This guy went everywhere that I didn't go. Looks like he went spring, maybe late summer. Yeah, there's the buildings right there. That's cool. That looks brand new. UPRR, Missile Range Road, and a railroad track. Oh, here we go. So he actually goes to the site. So this is near Green River. This would be to the north side of Interstate 70. You can see it on your left. If you go from Green River east towards the missile facility that I went to, you'd see this on the left. Uranium ore was milled right here. So they mined it somewhere else, brought it here, milled it here by Union Carbide. So this wasn't related to the missile testing. They didn't test nuclear missiles with nuclear tips on them. So the uranium ore was milled here by Union Carbide from 1958 to 61. My parents were born in 61. The waste from that operation consists of radioactive tailings, which are permanently stored on site in an engineered containment cell. Wow. The cell encapsulates 501,000 tons. That's a lot. So 500,000 tons of contaminated material, and is situated next to the ARC facilities. Oh, so the ARC facilities were over by Green River. I missed that detail. So the Athena booster zones, as the Athena payload traveled on its final destination at White Sands Missile Range in southern New Mexico, the stages were separated from the rocket and fell to Earth at various intervals. The first stage generally dropped in the vicinity of Needles District of Canyonlands National Park. The resulting wreckage, I wonder if it was a national park then, I don't know when Canyonlands was designated, was typically retrieved by the military, but some wreckage can still be located with a bit of detective work. How long is this? 45 seconds.
So we're here in southern Utah, and we're
some random guy, Moose 201.
Where, several decades ago, an Athena rocket launched from Green River, Utah, dropped one of its missile stages right here in the spot.
Sorry about that.
You see on the right-hand side there, one of the fins, and then down
that's
here,
wild. So that's like the bottom.
got the actual nozzle.
Oh, crazy.
Engine. And like I said, this was from an Athena rocket from Green River many years ago.
Great video. Check out Moose 201's videos, see if he has any more. Definitely want to give credit to everybody.
So I'm here in Utah.
Looks like Moose again.
Near the Needles District of Canyonlands National Park. And the nearest landmark, I guess, would be the Wind Whistle, Utah.
So actually, I'm going to motivate you to go check out his
videos.
We'll look at this one more really quick.
That Athena rocket booster left a second debris field wreckage site.
Good job making the videos.
A few hundred yards from the first site that I videotaped. And
all right, so yeah, go check out Moose 201's videos. Is it 201? Here's his channel, Moose 201. 9 subscribers, 9 videos. Oh wow, these look cool. I'm going to check these out, but I want to motivate you to go check out his stuff. But simulated launch sequence.
Okay. Shane's going to turn the launch console on.
There's your preview. So that's pretty cool. Go check out Moose's site. Here's a rocket motor. There's some footprints. Here's the fins. These are the videos we saw. No, these are just different fins. This is a different site. It's amazing what you can find out in the desert. And then there's another rocket motor nozzle, which is the very bottom. This is in Lockhart Canyon, which is a 4x4 area. Apparently it's down in here. That would have been a fun job going to recover this stuff in 50s and 70s. So this video is really cool. You could probably watch that. So in July 11th, 1970, due to a misfire of the Athena's fourth stage, as if crossing an international border wasn't bad enough, the payload included 2 small vials of cobalt-57, a radioactive isotope used to monitor the rate of ablation of the nose cone. I would say ablation is going to be as the nose cone kind of disintegrates under heat. What followed was a delicate interaction between former Athena project engineer Carlos Bustamante and Mexican officials. Bustamante was well qualified for the job as he understood the Athena system and was very familiar with WSMR and spoke fluent Spanish. That's another thing I've been working on in this interim period is my Spanish. I've been doing it for 2 years now. I would not say I'm a very good Spanish speaker, but I'm getting better and I'm still working on it. This stuff always takes time, but learning a different language is the hardest thing I've ever done. So if I can get fluent, I'd be very, very proud of myself. So ultimately, a team of U.S. personnel were allowed to enter Mexico and search for the crash site, which proved to be quite challenging due to the size of the geographic area. The nose cone was finally located by an aircraft from the AEC, Atomic Energy Commission, equipped with special sensors for detecting cobalt-57. A separate team arrived from the U.S. by train in September 1970 with heavy equipment and living quarters for the team members. They constructed a road and retrieved enough contaminated soil to fill 60 drums. The entire recovery operation, dubbed Operation Sand Patch, cost $104,000. Pretty cheap. Oh, we got images. So it looks like they got a dozer, an old Cat D8, medical facilities, a bunch of trucks, and some stuff. Looks like a tank of some sort. Pretty cool. And there's the barrels where they're putting the sand. Man, cobalt-57. Let's see how bad this stuff is. Cobalt-57. Let's check out Radiocode. This is radiocode.com. Radioactive isotope, blah blah blah. So pretty short half-life, 271.8 days. Oh, it releases gamma radiation. Oh, it's used in... Oh, this is stuff they use in... I'm going to get this wrong, but like CAT scan machines, X-ray machines, stuff like that. But it's going to be shielded, so it'll be inside there, but it'll be contained in like lead so that it can't get you. But like when they get rid of those machines, they have to take the cobalt out, otherwise it could cause huge issues. I think it was in like the Philippines or Vietnam or somewhere like that. Somebody got a radiological machine, and a whole bunch of people got sick because of the cobalt-57. I don't know if anybody died, but it was a really bad issue. They occur naturally and must be produced in controlled environments such as nuclear reactors by irradiating cobalt-59, strictly regulated. So yeah, pretty dangerous stuff. You see why it was important to go there. So we'll close out by watching this video. I believe it's pretty short.
It was in the middle of the night. The Athena had to fire in the middle of the night most of the time. And one of the reasons that required night
very fascinating.
Night firings
so worth watching.
Was they had to get away from the solar effects from sunshine, radiation effects, and they also had to go through lunar darkness sometimes. It was a very sophisticated, complex scenario required for certain types of payloads. They could sneak into the darker moon rather than full moon, things like that.
Oh, right.
And so they were always done at night, most of the time. And at night, there was less air traffic, and it was easier to manage and conduct those operations. So there was one event, and the missile was fired, and it kept on going. And flight safety realized, hey, that was wrong. And they couldn't cut it down. But then they realized it was going to fly over populated areas, and it wasn't endangering Alamogordo or El Paso, but it flew right into Mexico.
Alamogordo and El Paso are actually to the south of White Sands Missile Range. Well, El Paso's to the south. Alamogordo is to the east. If you go visit White Sands National Park, there's a very good chance you'll go through Alamogordo. This whole story is actually, it sounds like it's from a Hollywood movie. They should have made a movie about this. That would have been a fascinating movie.
So, but it flew right into Mexico. Anyway, what had happened was that the fourth stage, it was a four-stage, 2 stages firing up, and 2 motors firing down, pushing it fast. The fourth stage ignited before the third stage did, for some reason. And this caused the thing just to go all cockeyed. And it ended up about 530 miles into Mexico,
Jeez.
North of the city of Torreon.
That's a big mess up. 500 miles into Mexico, international incident like that with radioactive elements on board. That's a big mess up. And the fact that it's 540 miles into Mexico, or whatever he said, and even further past where it was supposed to land. So this missile just completely took off.
And it had a radioactive payload, cobalt-57, a very small amount, but it was required for that particular test to determine the rate of ablative decomposition of the nose cone as it re-entered the atmosphere. By that I mean it would burn up, and the rate of its burning was being monitored by this cobalt-57. So anyhow, that's what happened there, and the consequences are very complicated in detail, but it was located and recovered, and we brought it back.
But you served as a liaison to the government.
I was the only one authorized to speak with the Republic of Mexico and its personnel, and I was representing the United States government, really. And I was the only one authorized to explain to Mexico what happened, why it happened, the details of the penetration of objects into the Republic of Mexico, the content of the objects, the composition of the payload, the details of the radioactive cobalt-57. And Mexico had assigned to their task to communicate with us for about 2 full colonels, and there was 5 engineers from their Nuclear Energy Commission, which are all very intelligent personnel. And so that was my role. And for 3 days, I had to translate. We were allowed to go into Mexico, and a lieutenant colonel came with me, or I took him. And about 10 or 11 recovery personnel, that is, enlisted men, sergeants and military enlisted men, had expertise in detonation and recovery of missile debris. So they were experts in finding things that had been impacted. And also there was a representative from the Air Force and the contractor, and with a team that went in. And nevertheless, I was the only one authorized to communicate with Mexico in Spanish.
You are fluent in Spanish. So.
Oh, yes, thank God for that. And but I had to translate. I had to translate what I spoke in Spanish back to the colonel and the staff, what I had said. And then they would come up with a comment that I would have to translate back to Mexico. So I was talking 24/7 there for about 3 days. And that didn't last too long, though.
That covers the Utah launch complex of the White Sands Missile Range. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you check out Cold War Tourist's website. He's got all these different locations. Black Hills Ordnance Depot. Looks like that's saying Beaumark, MK Tunnels, Montauk Air Force Station, SRMSC, Site Missile Radar Complex, SRMSC, Remote Sprint Launch Site Perimeter Acquisition Radar PIR Complex, the Trestle, Titan Missile Museum and Site Ruins, and Unaweep Canyon Explosion Test Site. Ooh, I want to check that out. Let's see what else he's got. Oh, wow. Go to MK Tunnels first. I'm going to look into this stuff. Maybe I'll visit it in a further video, because these areas look like places that I go. Wow. Granite cores, tunnels. What is this? This looks like Colorado. No, but Cornwash, Utah. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, so go check out his sites if you want to find out more of this stuff. and I am going to borrow his website and use it to find more places to go visit and bring it to you. Thank you for watching. Go check out his website and then hit like and subscribe if you like my videos. Please leave comments below, any places you'd like me to go visit. If you have any criticisms of my video, make it shorter. It's not long enough. Your sound sucks. Any of that stuff, I love to hear it. I'm really trying to improve the quality of my videos at all times, and I'll never stop doing that. So let me know down below. Remember, I'm a human, so be nice about it. I don't really need to be insulted, but whether you're rude or polite, I'm definitely going to take whatever you say into consideration, because if somebody takes the time to watch my video and communicate with me how I can improve it, I'm definitely going to consider what you have to say, and I appreciate every bit of interaction you can give me. Also, feel free to check me out on Instagram. I post lots of day-to-day stuff, so if you're interested in what I'm doing at any given time, I'll post a little bit about it on there. So I do some of my fitness stuff, not like, I don't actually make it too many posts about that, but I am talking about it, and I am considering having my own account that only deals with that. And I don't think there's much else to say. I really appreciate you watching to the end of the video, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one. Hey everyone, so I thought I'd show you an update on the place since I just happened to be coming through Moab and needed somewhere to stay overnight. I had heard that the test site had been gotten rid of. Somebody actually commented on my last video I did of it that it's because of people like me that they got rid of this place, which I kind of laughed because they got rid of it and then I posted my video because I delayed it almost 2 years. So no, it wasn't me, not this time. But this is where the building was that I drove through. It was right behind me. And then the hill that I camped up is right behind me up that road there. So, and the bunker that was there, it was there. It's not anymore. None of the lines where they ran the power cords and stuff are there anymore. Sorry, you can't see anything. So they cleaned it all up, whoever they may be. The map says this is Utah State Trust land, so maybe the state of Utah cleaned it up. But I have mixed feelings. I think that leaving a big mess out here, the federal government should be treated as though they would treat us, which is not the reality, but they shouldn't leave their mess out here, even if they're cool buildings from history. I think they should be cleaned up and not left to rot. Because if we did that, we'd have be in a lot of trouble if we left big messes out and got caught with it. So I feel like the federal government should be held to the same standard. The only thing that's really left is the fence. The fence line is still exactly as it was last time I was here, but everything else is all cleaned up. They took the concrete, the building, everything has been gotten rid of and discarded. So big changes here. Nothing too serious. I'm going to go drive to the top of the hill and camp for the night. But there's an update. Don't come here expecting to see what was in my video. But I'm glad that I saved it and put some record on there. So I can't talk. I'm glad that I made a video and released it, because that allows people that don't now have the chance to come see it. They can see what was here. They can be like, why is there a fence there? And then they can look it up online and maybe find my video and learn what was here. So that's the update. It's all gone, but I'm going to camp at the top of the hill because the view's great even though the concrete is gone. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. This is launch pad 1. It used to be carved out of the dirt. Now it's just a clay pad. If you drove on this when it was wet, it'd be very sticky. Just the fence remains. Oh, and that piece of metal. And that wood up there. I never showed this, but since this place was out on its own, there's just power lines that kind of lead to the different sections. I think there's a radar out there maybe. Maybe that's where the power came in. But this set of lines here are going straight away from me and then down. That came exclusively to the base. cool. And then there's the microwave tower up there. I think that's a microwave receiver.